Hi, I'm Rachel from 7 and All, and I'm going to be sharing some good books with you today. Alright guys, this is the first time in a potential new series that I'm thinking of starting with you guys, a new video I'm thinking to do on a monthly basis on my channel, which is sharing favorite books or favorite book we've recently been reading for each kind of age level that we do. One for my 2-year-old, one for my preschooler, one for my youngest sister who is in upper elementary, one for the high school student, and then one for me, one that I'm reading. So sharing kind of one for each age level so that no matter what age kind of you are looking for books for, you're very likely to hear of a age appropriate recommendation here. So I'm thinking about making this a once a month video. Keep watching, but let me know in the comments below. Did you like this video? Do you like this idea? Let me know if this is something I should continue and if this is the kind of content you want to see on this channel. Alright, let's get started. I want to make these videos fairly quick for you, not too long-winded. I'm going to start from youngest to oldest. So this is my recommendation, or this is what we've been reading with the 2-year-old a lot lately. And of course with his big brother as well, the Usborne Farmyard Tales series. And it's all about the same little farm family. The first page is always the same. This is Apple Tree Farm. This is Mrs. Boot the farmer, 2 children called Poppy and Sam, and a dog called Rusty. They always start out exactly the same way. They are very just cute little farm stories. There's a whole bunch of them. Now, currently, I don't think these are sold in individual little books like this. You can probably tell by looking at this that these are pretty old, but Usborne still sells these exact stories just in one volume book. That's a whole compendium of the stories with the same illustrations. There are a few focused around a tractor. These are especial favorites of my son, but he loves tractors, he loves farm animals. These are really great for him. And they of course have this really fun little thing, find the duck on every page. The boys love finding the duck. These are called dual level readers, so if you're reading but you're not really, you have a very young child or a very short attention span, you can just read the top sentence and the story will make sense. But we usually read the top sentence, and then we read the bottom sentences, and then it's like a slightly more detailed story, but it's still not a lot of words on a page. So it's great for my almost 2-year-old. I shouldn't say he's 2, he's not there yet, but he's getting closer and closer by the day. And they love finding the little duck hidden in the illustrations on every page. Love farm animals. So these have been great. This is a very old set. I've had these were my mom's for one of my sisters, and we've just really been loving these lately. I will link to them below on the Usborne website, and I'll have links to all these books down in the description in case you're interested in any. Now this is Gracias Omu in English. This has a Spanish version or an English version. In English, I'm pretty sure it's Thank You, Omu. And this is a Caldecott Honor book by Oge Mora, is possibly how that name is pronounced. Authors' names, you never, I don't know. But this is what I've been reading with Cyrus recently. We have been working through the food unit of Purely Preschool in Spanish, and I bought this when we were in America, knowing that we were going to be doing this unit, and he has really, this has probably been his favorite book from the whole unit. The story is about a lady who, she made a delicious dinner, and the scent of her dinner is going out through her window out into the city. And all throughout the day, as her dinner is cooking, but it's not quite dinner time yet, people are coming to her door and asking, like, hey, what smells so good? And then she's sharing her meal with them, every single person who comes to the door. But this is a stressful book for my son because it gets to the point at the end of the day when the lady is going to have her dinner, her pot is empty. Está vacía. And this is always like the stressful page that my son gets to, and he's like, he wants to skip through the next couple of pages where she's sad, she doesn't have food, but she spent the whole day sharing food. And then at the end of the day, all the people that she shared her food with come to the door, and they basically all brought their own dishes. They all have a neighborhood food party all together. It's very, very sweet, a good starting point for talking about how we can share food, we can use food to build community. Really great. So we're reading it in Spanish, but there is an English edition or a Spanish edition. Highly recommend, and just really fun illustrations. There's a bus in it, so of course my son is very attracted to noting the bus in different pages of the illustrations. Then this one, this is my recommendation for the upper elementary for reading on her own. I Survived. This is a newer series to us. When I had heard it recommended by a couple different YouTube moms, I think Megan from Pennies and Salt was one of them. So I picked up 2 of these books when I was in the US this summer for my youngest sister. I Survived the San Francisco Earthquake is this one. And this is definitely one of the first books that she's gotten really, really excited about reading on her own. She loved it. She told me a lot about the story when she was done with it. And she, I think, was a little bit disappointed that I only picked up 2 of them. So we're probably going to end up getting more in this series for her. Then for the high schooler, this is not part of any of her Sunlight curriculum where she gets her literature, but just a book that she read on her own. When I talked to her about what's something you really, really enjoyed that you read in the past month, she mentioned The Secrets of the Terracotta Soldier by Incheon Kampustin. And this is taking place during Mao era China. It's kind of taking place, it's diving into actually multiple different levels of Chinese history. It's kind of going back in time to history into when the Great Wall of China was being built, but then there's another part that's happening during the Mao era. And there's a lot of China's history that goes into this story. They have real pictures and real pictures. So a real picture of the Great Wall, real pictures of terracotta soldiers and of the broken terracotta soldiers. It's kind of a mix of historical fiction and fantasy. So there's a terracotta soldier that comes to life and is like kind of telling his story. So it's definitely really interesting. I think it can be hard to find good historical fiction for China. And the writer grew up during Mao's rule over China. So I think her own experiences definitely fed into the creation of this book. So there's that one for the older, probably a young teen. I think this one is not, you don't have to be super old. I would give this to 11, 12-year-old that really wanted to read. Then I'm slightly hesitant to share the books that I read with you guys, actually, because I just don't tend to read the normal good mommy books that you're supposed to read about, homeschool motherhood all the time. I read quite a variety of things though, so I guess I'm opening up a little bit. The book I read most recently and really found very interesting was Grenade by Alan Gratz. I got this for my sister who's in high school right now because she has really liked some of Alan Gratz's other books. And if he writes a lot of stories kind of about kids in wartime situations. One of his other books is Refugee. Kids in really tough spots, because in times of history when wars and this hard stuff was going on, it wasn't only adults that were dealing with it. I mean, it was affecting the childhood of children that were there. They sometimes kind of get deleted from history. So this is a very heavy book. I would definitely, like this one I would say could be read by a preteen easily, or yeah, preteen age on their own, no problem. This is a lot heavier, and I wouldn't probably give it to a kid under 13, 14. Someone who's mature and who can deal with just some of the really heavy stuff of World War II. This is taking place in Okinawa during World War II, during the US invasion of Okinawa. And so it's the Japanese soldiers versus the Americans, and the Okinawans pretty much get caught in the middle of this. I feel like it can be hard to find children's historical books or historical fiction about the Asian side of World War II, the genocide in Asia, and all the heavy stuff that went on at that time. This is hard to read. Like, even for me as an adult, I was like kind of reading one chapter, setting it down, you know, kind of taking it in a little bit of small doses, because especially reading about this, thinking about it as a mom, it's tough, it's sad. Man, there's a lot of bad stuff that goes on in history. But it was good to read, especially, you know, as someone who cares about this side of the world. I've been in Japan. I have Japanese friends. You know, I love a lot of this side of the world, and I've learned so much from the various cultures that I've lived in, and I also learn from history, and it just makes you think, man, war is bad, and the people who are very vulnerable anyways, you know, young children and women and all that, they're always hurt by it too. So this one is a bit, I feel like I'm ending on a bit of a downer, but it's good to read heavy downer books sometimes. Probably not all the time. Depending on your personality, you know how much you can take. But this book is definitely, it's a good read for high school students. And I wanted to read it because I also want to always be learning. Alright, so those are just my quick recommendations for 5 different, from 5 different stages and ages of reading. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like down below. That helps out my channel quite a bit. And if you're new to this channel, you can subscribe as well to 7 and All for more from our adventurous and creative homeschooling family. Bye!